Well, retro video games are making a comeback. Instead of the latest system from Sony, Nintendo, or Microsoft, many gamers are opting for the classics. As Seth Tackett reports, collectors of all ages are snapping up arcade games and often going to great lengths to get them.
To a lot of people, Billy Mitchell is the face of retro gaming. Fans in Indianapolis lined up for autographs, and Mitchell greeted them with his sense of humor and strong personality.
Some people would say I'm just a stubborn son of a gun. Some people would say worse. Either way, it's probably true.
Billy Mitchell, as we all know, is a very, very esteemed video gamer. Pac-Man high scores, all things like that. So he is another invited guest that we have here, because a big part of conventions too, as opposed to comics and the pop culture, is definitely video games, and having that kind of a video game presence here is definitely an awesome choice for us.
But at a time when video game technology is improving so quickly that it's hard to distinguish between what is real and what is pixelated, why is a player famous for playing Pac-Man being met by so many adoring fans? Retro video games and arcades are making a comeback. Mitchell says for a lot of gamers, it's about that feeling of nostalgia.
There's two different aspects to the fun that I look at that we see behind me. I see people who, all the way back, say, to high school and beyond, the fun they had, the pastime they had, because arcades were all the rage. It's where you wanted to be. Other age groups that you wanted to be at a concert or you wanted to do something else. But in my group, everybody wanted to be at the arcades. It was incredible.
Like Mitchell, Bedford orthodontist Todd Curtis loved the bright lights and sounds of the arcades in the 80s. So much that he took them to work.
Many years ago, I started collecting arcade games, so my house started to fill up a little bit with these machines. And I always had this dream in my mind that I would have an arcade in my office for my patients to play. And I had 3 or 4 arcade games in, and it was an immediate hit. That's all I heard from the patients. You know, it was the coolest thing they had seen. And so over the years, we've grown and we've added more games. But what we find is that people get here early for their appointments because they want to play the games. And so we can run ahead of schedule during the day quite a bit.
Curtis's garage is filled with monitors, capacitors, and boards. Some of these games are more than 40 years old. He is currently in the middle of refurbishing his collection, and a new project came along that he just couldn't pass up.
Right, so one of my memories from my childhood at the arcades was playing an old game called Atari Hard Driving, which really simulated driving at an age where I had just gotten a driver's license.
Curtis and his son traveled to Wisconsin to pick up the game's sequel, and another classic.
So these are the 2 games that we picked up in Wisconsin, the Afterburner and the Race Driving. Still have some cosmetic issues that we'll fix, like the sides of this panel. But otherwise, we've got these back up and almost back to their glory days.
Like Curtis, another area business owner took his love of video games to work and brought it to downtown Bloomington. After working in his father's bar, the Video Saloon, Jeremy Black and his fiancée Chelsea Long opened up the Cade in 2017 after they noticed a niche, nerdy need missing in the local bar scene.
A lot of bars in Bloomington don't have is an entertainment value. So like at the Vid upstairs, there's pool and darts, and you have a bar. But a lot of bars in this town are just geared towards drinking, which somebody who was raised in a bar that has more to offer than just drinking, something that I've always been attached to is video games and just nerd culture in general.
Until these bar-cades began popping up, there was almost no way to introduce the younger generation to what it was you did. And I saw very few young people playing video games other than playing a platform at home. Now there's a way to introduce a younger generation to what it was you enjoyed. And I see it embraced more now, today, than ever.
In their free time, Black and Long chased the high score of their favorite game, Centipede, a game they hadn't even played until they began to build their classic collection.
It was the best market research ever. We would go from arcade bar to arcade bar in the Midwest and play these games and figure out which ones we liked the most. And 2 very competitive people, we never stood a chance at breaking any of those high scores at any of those arcade bars that we went to, because the people that have been playing them for a long time, like Billy Mitchell, but obviously he's the best of the best, but I mean, like, even my dad could come in here and stomp me in Asteroids or in Galaga. You have to get 100 points. Ah, you got me.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Seth Tackett.